Welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into the glamorous, scandalous, and ever-evolving world of daytime television. Today brings a fascinating exploration of fractured loyalties, profound psychological trauma, and unexpected alliances that are fundamentally shifting the landscape of our favorite families. Let us unravel the latest explosive developments taking center stage. The resounding echo of Hope Logan's final footsteps walking out of the sterile, suffocating walls of Forrester Creations marked the end of an era, but it also signaled the terrifying beginning of a profound psychological collapse. For years, Hope had poured her entire soul, her identity, and her unwavering passion into the Hope for the Future brand, only to watch it be systematically dismantled by Steffy Forrester's condescending arrogance and ruthless corporate tyranny. Yet, the loss of her career was merely the surface wound. The true, agonizing fatal blow came from the one person who was supposed to be her ultimate protector, her mother, Brooke Logan. When Brooke shockingly abandoned their shared corporate crusade, choosing the security of Ridge Forrester's bed and sending a sickeningly diplomatic text to praise Steffy's leadership, Hope's entire reality shattered. The maternal betrayal was a knife twisted deep in her back, leaving her completely unmoored, isolated, and drowning in a sea of unprecedented despair. Stripped of her legacy, mocked by her ultimate rival regarding her past with Carter Walton, and abandoned by her own mother, Hope plummeted into a severe psychological breakdown. The vibrant, optimistic woman who once championed morality and forward-thinking fashion was reduced to a fragile, trembling shell of her former self. The trauma of the consecutive betrayals triggered crippling anxiety, profound depressive episodes, and an overwhelming sense of worthlessness. Hope found herself entirely unable to navigate the suffocating darkness that had suddenly enveloped her life. She was a woman wandering through the emotional wreckage of her own existence, desperately searching for a lifeline in a world that had abruptly turned incredibly cruel and unforgiving. It was in this terrifying abyss of psychological torment that an unexpected savior emerged from the shadows, forever altering the intricate dynamics of the Forrester and Logan families. Dr. John Finn Finnegan, a man bound by a sacred medical oath to heal the sick and comfort the suffering, could not simply turn a blind eye to the absolute devastation unfolding before him. While the rest of the Forrester family celebrated Steffy's arrogant victory and Brooke's cowardly submission, Finn saw something entirely different. He did not see a defeated corporate rival or a pawn in a decades-old family feud. He saw a human being in the throes of a catastrophic mental health crisis. Finn's inherent goodness, his profound empathy, and his unwavering dedication to his profession compelled him to step across the invisible battle lines drawn by his wife. He recognized that Hope was standing on the absolute precipice of a total psychological collapse, and he knew that without immediate, compassionate intervention, the damage could become tragically irreversible. Operating entirely in the shadows, far away from the toxic, vindictive atmosphere of Forrester Creations and the prying eyes of his fiercely territorial wife, Finn began to secretly provide psychological treatment and emotional support to Hope. These clandestine sessions became the only safe haven in Hope's rapidly disintegrating world. In the quiet intimacy of their hidden meetings, Finn offered something Hope had been entirely starved of: genuine, unadulterated empathy without any hidden agendas or conditional affection. He listened patiently as she wept over Brooke's devastating hypocrisy, as she hyperventilated over the loss of her life's work, and as she agonized over the cruel, mocking words Steffy had weaponized against her. Finn did not judge her, nor did he dismiss her pain as mere collateral damage in a corporate war. Instead, he treated her shattered mind with the delicate precision and profound care of a master healer. During these intensely emotional sessions, the dynamic between the doctor and his secret patient began to organically evolve. Finn found himself deeply moved by the sheer depth of Hope's vulnerability. He witnessed firsthand the raw, bleeding wounds inflicted by his own wife's relentless pursuit of power. As Hope slowly began to unpack her trauma, shedding the heavy armor she had been forced to wear, Finn saw the beautiful, gentle core of her spirit. He realized that despite the immense cruelty she had endured, Hope had not allowed her heart to turn completely black. She was broken, yes, but she remained fundamentally kind, compassionate, and desperate for genuine connection. This stark realization created a profound cognitive dissonance within Finn, forcing him to silently compare the wounded, gentle woman sitting before him to the hardened, ruthless corporate tyrant he returned home to every single night. The fragile sanctuary Finn had meticulously constructed for Hope was inevitably destined to be violently shattered. Secrets of this magnitude simply cannot survive in the volatile, interconnected world of Los Angeles, and the explosion, when it finally occurred, was nothing short of apocalyptic. The revelation did not come gently. It arrived with the destructive force of a hurricane when Steffy Forrester discovered the undeniable truth. Finding out that her own husband, the man who was supposed to be her ultimate loyalist, was secretly comforting, treating, and emotionally holding her sworn enemy sent Steffy into a state of sheer, unadulterated madness. The Cliff House mansion, usually a symbol of their luxurious domestic bliss, instantly transformed into a terrifying psychological war zone. When Steffy confronted Finn, the rage that erupted from her was visceral, terrifying, and completely unhinged. She unleashed a torrent of venomous insults, viewing Finn's medical and emotional intervention as the ultimate, unforgivable marital betrayal. In Steffy's power-obsessed mind, Hope was a defeated adversary who deserved to suffer in the ashes of her lost career, and Finn's empathy was a direct, treasonous assault on her own victory. She screamed, she threatened, and she hurled the most vicious, degrading insults at Hope, attempting to strip away whatever tiny fragments of dignity the broken woman had left. The mansion echoed with the terrifying sounds of a woman whose obsession with dominance had completely eclipsed her capacity for basic human decency. However, if Steffy expected her husband to cower, apologize, and fall back in a line, she was catastrophically mistaken. Faced with his wife's terrifying wrath, Finn did something that fundamentally shifted the tectonic plates of their marriage. He stood his ground. Positioning himself as an immovable physical and emotional shield between Steffy's venom and Hope's fragility, Finn fiercely defended his patient. He refused to allow Steffy to inflict any further psychological damage on a woman who was already bleeding out emotionally. With a chilling, unwavering calmness that contrasted sharply with Steffy's hysterical rage, Finn reminded his wife of his medical oath, his moral compass, and his fundamental duty to protect the vulnerable. He explicitly called out Steffy's toxic cruelty, demanding that she look at the horrific human cost of her relentless power struggle. This explosive confrontation inadvertently pushed Finn and Steffy's marriage to the absolute brink of destruction. By choosing to defend Hope, Finn had drawn a definitive line in the sand, explicitly rejecting the ruthless, cutthroat ideology that had entirely consumed his wife. The argument laid bare the fundamental, irreconcilable differences in their core values. Steffy demanded blind, unquestioning loyalty and shared hatred for her enemies, while Finn demanded empathy, healing, and basic human compassion. As the echoes of their screaming match faded into a tense, suffocating silence, Finn looked at the woman he had married and realized, with a sickening drop in his stomach, that he barely recognized her anymore. The gentle, loving partner he had fallen for had been entirely swallowed whole by the vindictive, power-hungry co-CEO of Forrester Creations. In the devastating aftermath of the mansion explosion, the emotional landscape was irrevocably altered. The trauma of the confrontation did not drive Finn and Hope apart. Instead, it forged an incredibly deep, unbreakable bond between them. Having stood together in the fiery crucible of Steffy's wrath, Their connection transcended the boundaries of a mere doctor-patient relationship. Finn had willingly thrown himself into the line of fire to protect her, sacrificing the stability of his own marriage to ensure her psychological survival. For Hope, this act of profound, selfless bravery was a revelation. After being abandoned by Liam, betrayed by Thomas, and discarded by her own mother, Finn's unwavering defense proved that genuine, protective love still existed in the world. As the dust settled, the empathy that had initially drawn Finn to Hope's side began to blossom into a profoundly deep, complex emotional connection. He found himself increasingly drawn to the quiet, soothing presence of Hope. In stark contrast to the chaotic, high-stakes warfare that defined his life with Steffy, being with Hope felt like finally taking a deep breath of fresh air after drowning in toxic fumes. He was utterly captivated by her resilience, her inherent sweetness, and the gentle way she viewed the world, even after it had treated her so horribly. Finn began to realize that the very qualities Steffy had mocked and attempted to destroy in Hope were the exact qualities he was desperately starving for in his own life. This profound realization brought with it a tragic, heartbreaking epiphany regarding his marriage. Finn began to see, with absolute, terrifying clarity, that Steffy had completely lost her gentle side in the brutal war for corporate supremacy. The empathy, the warmth, and the humanity that make a person truly beautiful had been systematically stripped away from Steffy, replaced by a cold, calculating obsession with winning at all costs. She had won the battle for Forrester Creations, she had successfully driven Hope out of the building, and she had forced Brooke into submission, but in doing so, she had sacrificed the very essence of her soul. Finn mourned the loss of the woman he thought Steffy was, while simultaneously finding solace in the woman Hope proved to be. The psychological treatment that began as a desperate medical intervention had evolved into a mutual healing process. Hope was slowly piecing her shattered identity back together, guided by Finn's steady, compassionate hand. She was finding her voice again, not as the marginalized designer at Forrester Creations, but as a strong, independent woman who had survived the ultimate betrayals. And Finn, in turn, was finding his own moral clarity. He was no longer willing to be a silent, complicit bystander to his wife's cruelty. The deep connection he shared with Hope had awakened a fierce, protective instinct within him, fundamentally altering his priorities and his vision for the future. As the days turned into weeks, the secret bond between Finn and Hope continued to deepen, operating as a silent, powerful undercurrent beneath the chaotic surface of their interconnected lives. Steffy, blinded by her own arrogance and absolute certainty in her marital dominance, remained entirely unaware of the profound emotional shift occurring right beneath her nose. She believed her explosive rage had successfully neutralized the threat, failing to realize that her vitriol had actually been the exact catalyst that pushed her husband directly into the arms of her greatest enemy. The stage is now meticulously set for a catastrophic emotional reckoning, one that will test the very limits of loyalty, love, and the enduring power of genuine empathy